Hello and welcome. I'm Millicent Walker. Tonight, President Buhari returns to the country after 10 days in the United Kingdom on a private visit to receive President of the 73rd session of the UN General Assembly on Monday. Benue State government probes allegations of rape against security officials in internally displaced persons camps. People's Democratic Party leaders eulogized former President Umaru Yar'Adua on the 9th anniversary of his death. Burning Russian plane makes emergency landing at Moscow airport, 13 persons reportedly killed. President Muhammadu Buhari is back in the country after a private visit to the United Kingdom. The presidential jet touched down at about 6:20 p.m. at the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. The president was received on arrival by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, the Chief of Defence Staff, General Abayomi Olonishaki, Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, the President's Chief of Staff, Abba Kyari, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, and the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Mohammed Bello. The President, who spoke on arrival, urges Nigerians to be patient as his administration prepares to inaugurate the new cabinet.
I didn't discuss it with anybody, so I don't know how they knew about it. I didn't discuss it with anybody.
Okay, what kind of people are you likely to see in your cabinet next level, sir?
I wouldn't tell you.
Are we likely to see an expanded cabinet, sir?
I wouldn't tell you.
Are we likely to see a different approach in the fight against insecurity, especially kidnapping, which is a big issue now, sir?
No, I have just seen the IG. I think he is still losing weight, so I think he is working very hard.
Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, one of the president's first official functions upon his return is hosting the president of the 73rd session of the United Nations General Assembly, Mrs. Maria Fernanda Espinosa Garces, who will be arriving in Nigeria on Monday, May the 6th, to begin an official visit. She will be meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the presidential villa and also attend a seminar at the University of Abuja, where she would present a paper titled "Responding to Global Challenges in a Fast-Changing World, the Case for Strengthening Multilateralism." As part of her itinerary, Mrs. Garces would also be holding discussions with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Geoffrey Onyema, on Tuesday over Nigeria's transition to the 74th presidency of the General Assembly, upcoming high-level meetings, strengthening multilateralism to respond to global challenges, and Nigeria's role in regional peace and security. She's also expected to attend an interactive session with women at the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development. Mrs. Garces leaves Abuja on Wednesday, May the 8th. In other stories, internally displaced persons have been facing various hazards in their temporary places of abode, including challenges of food, water, shelter, and healthcare. But female IDPs specifically are the victims of the rising menace of rape and gender-based violence in internally displaced persons camps. In Benue State, cases of unwanted pregnancies as a result of rape and transactional sex are reportedly rampant at IDP camps, an allegation the state government says it is investigating. Our correspondent Pius Angbo has this report.
According to the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, 2.9 million persons were displaced in 2017, bringing the global figure to 68.5 million persons who were displaced. Of this number, 40 million persons are internally displaced persons within their home countries, while about 25 million are refugees having fled their country of origin due to violent conflict. At a conference organized in Makadi by the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, stakeholders are alarmed that in 2017 alone, 13,000 children were born from cases of sexual and gender-based violence.
In the last 2 weeks, we had 2 cases reported to us as CSOs that 2 young girls are impregnated implemented by one of the security agencies. One of them have put to birth, the other is just 14 months gone. And there are just a representation of other issues ongoing in the camp.
To confirm these claims, Channels Television visits one of the IDP camps in Guma local government area of Benue State for a fact check. Indeed, apart from the challenges of basic social amenities like water, food, and shelter, there are allegations of rape levied against some security personnel.
Security men here rape our lady here, and the host communities are sleeping with our children, our wives, and the rest of them. And we don't have what to do. We don't have any option than to sit down and look.
One of the victims narrated how she was lured out by a female member of the vigilante group to a waiting security official.
It was night. The man grabbed me and was dragging me towards his vehicle. I pleaded with him to let me go, but he refused. So I gestured towards the direction where I thought there would be people who would rescue me. When we got there, we met only 2 women in the room who had just put to bed. So I held onto the door, but he pulled me away. One of the women in the camp heard my screams and came to plead with him to leave me alone, but he wouldn't listen. Instead, he grabbed me into another shelter where he raped me.
Efforts to speak with the police are yet to yield results, as no official report has been made. But the State Emergency Management Agency confirmed the allegation and is already working on addressing the issues.
I'm working with security agencies also to get to the bottom of the issue in terms of getting evidence against the security agents, the security personnel that are accused. When we have enough evidence against them, I assure you that we'll get them to face the law.
Now, if nothing is done to arrest this situation, you may begin to have a population that is growing with anger against the state. This is an issue the government needs to tackle urgently. From the Daudu IDP camp in Guma local government, Pius Angbo reporting for Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, a community of internally displaced persons in Ocho State is desperately in need of food and faces dire living conditions. 360 IDPs from Mate, Jure and Mafa local government areas of Borno State fled a camp in Maiduguri over a year ago in search of better conditions and established a settlement 2 kilometers away from Rundabien in Ocho local government area. Our correspondent Hadira Aliu visited the community and tells this story.
This community in Ocho State, recluse and surrounded by rocks, is popularly called Shua Shua Settlement. It was established over a year ago by internally displaced persons who are all Shua Arabs from Borno State. They built these shacks as makeshift shelter on a land provided to them by a private individual. Little was known about them until they wailed of hunger. This little girl guzzles some burnt food from the bottom of the pot, which is referred to as kanzo in the local dialect. Their leader claims it is true their children ate onion leaves to survive.
Na gidaje ko na abinci ko na ruwa ko na lafiya babu abin da sa kamu yanzu ma da cikin nan da ruma shine muna bukatun tallafin na abinci babu abinci kuma ka gidajen mu kuma kun ganshi.
It's noon, but there is no sign of lunch or dinner in any of the huts.
To kadan zamu dafa mun samu abun kadan muna dafa mun babu mu yara muna manya muna da hakura muna zaune haka. Ita to suna kuka dole zamu zauna kallon su haka ne to babu abun zamu gurin zamu nema kawo to ba dole zamu hakura ba ne
ba kadan ne babu ba. This is what it takes to get water. And when the water pits runs dry, they wait. There is no health facility nearby, and none of them have a means of transportation. This set of internally displaced persons have just arrived from Jere local government area of Borno State. This is the remain of their belongings. Khadija has just reunited with her husband after a year of being apart. For them, safety is paramount before any other thing like food and shelter. More persons are still being expected to arrive here from Borno State, although Bauchi State government admits having knowledge of their presence. Help remains far from the people.
We take IOM there to do the tracking, matrix tracking, where they enumerate them, and we took some other agencies too, all in the preparation of assisting them. So we're where they're staying there, but their purpose of coming is they have come to use that where they're staying now to farm.
There are no IDP camps in Bauchi State. The IDPs are integrated among the people. The last enumeration conducted 3 months ago shows that there are 10,985 households and 66,716 IDPs in the state, but this community was excluded in that enumeration. Hajira Aliyu, Channels Television News.
Joining us on the news at 10 is Professor Sunday Ocho, the Executive Director of the Victim Support Fund, VSF. He joins us from our Abuja studios. Many thanks for joining us on the news at 10. First question, do you think that the government, and by the government I mean federal and state, have a clear roadmap with regards to relocating the IDPs to their ancestral homes?
Thank you so much. The challenge of IDPs following the different crises right now, majority of which, of course, is still related to the Boko Haram insurgency, is enormous. The figures you gave are very striking and I believe are very correct as to how much of the IDPs we have. Yes, the federal government, the state governments have responsibilities towards these internally displaced persons. Yes, there are plans towards the management of the condition of these IDPs. The most comprehensive plan that exists right now is the Buhari plan, which is the comprehensive plan of the federal government for the restoration of the totality of the crisis arising from the Boko Haram insurgency. And it has different components and different provisions and seeks in different ways, to address the challenges of IDP among many other issues arising from the insurgency.
One of those issues as well is, it's really difficult to hear allegations of rape, sexual exploitations from some of the women at the camps. What measures do you think can be put in place? And first is to see that some of the women can come forward without fear of intimidation to report their experiences.
Yeah, I think it's really tragic that Nigerians who have suffered the type of crisis that these IDPs have suffered, losing everything, barely running, escaping with their lives, to come to camp and be faced with the type of stories we are hearing from security agencies or any other person for that matter. It's not the first time that these accusations are coming up. In the Northeast, 2-3 years ago, these were serious accusations that were coming. I want to believe that any of the agencies that the fingers have been pointed at have serious responsibilities to Nigerians, not to sweep these things under the carpet. We need to work seriously. It does not speak well of any agency. They need to come out very clean to address the issues. Nigerians who are in the camp deserve to be treated with dignity. They have suffered significantly, and I think the least that their government and the different agencies can do is to look after them in the best way possible. And where anybody misplaces the trust that has been put on them, such a person or such group of persons must be brought to book accordingly.
Many thanks, and perhaps one way also is to see that there is some sort of self-sufficiency to help themselves rather than the reliance on the little bit they are getting. We'd like to thank you so much, Professor Sunday Ocho, Executive Director of the Victim Support Fund, for joining us on the News at 10. In part 2 after the break, against the backdrop of the increase in the national minimum wage, we're being joined by a Channel's television data analyst, We examine how higher pay may translate to greater productivity. Please stay with us.